Welcome back, Mentees, to another episode of Near Mid Condition. I, the Astonishing Melanie, and Uncanny Omar are going to take a look at Seconds by Brian Lee O'Malley, so please stay tuned.
And welcome back, everybody. Now, before we get started on this review, we just want to stress that we are going to be talking about some spoilers. So if you've not read it, or if you care about spoilers, then you may want to come back and watch this after you read it.
A lot of you viewers suggested for Omar to read it, and he suggested for me to read it. So we want to share the love, and in case you're out of the loop, it's been published since 2014. Let's dive into this book, because we highly recommend it.
But stay tuned and watch the episode. We highly recommend it. You don't have to watch the rest of us talking about the book. No, but yes, it came strongly suggested by not just one, like there were about 15, 20 people that said, you need to read this. Wow. It was in my books I'm most thankful for in 2020. And this is the same writer, Brian Lee O'Malley, that did the Scott Pilgrim series. And, you know, Scott Pilgrim has got a huge following, but for me, I never really got into it. I love the video game. I just purchased the limited run version.
And I never read it because you weren't into it. So
right. And I feel like I need to go back and revisit because maybe I didn't give it a fair shot. Maybe
you didn't like the movie.
Don't tell people that. People love that movie too.
Well, okay.
And I love that the director's all. Anyway, we'll talk about the book. But no, it wasn't for me. Maybe at the time I was being too snooty and I'm like, this isn't real manga. I don't know. But I should definitely give it a reshot. Well, what do y'all think? Maybe I should read it again just because I know it's been republished in color.
Well, this has a lot of heart. So if it's got heart in it,
then it's for you.
Yeah, it's for me.
So, Melanie, what would you say the basic premise of Seconds is? It's all in one. This is it. There's no other book. There's no follow-up. And it's a page turner. It is a page turner.
I read it one day. Katie is the main character, and she owns a restaurant. She's the head chef, and she's working on opening another restaurant.
And the first restaurant where she co-owns is called
Seconds. She's very headstrong and in love with her restaurant. She's there at the restaurant Seconds, even though she's supposed to be like working on her other restaurant. You know, she's working hard on this, and a tragedy strikes that one of the waitresses, Hazel, one of the servers, she is burned, like severe burns, and has to go to the hospital.
It's from the deep fryer, right?
Yeah.
I had a friend that did that, actually. Funny story. He lost some tongs in the deep fryer, and without thinking, he reached into the deep fryer. And I watched the whole thing happen.
Funny story.
Funny story. Mark, if you're watching, I'm sorry I told your story as a funny story. It was traumatic for him. I was 16 laughing. But anyway.
Katie feels horrible. She goes upstairs. She lives on the second floor of Seconds. And
what a revelation! I caught that.
I never thought about it.
Totally caught that.
She finds a mushroom in her dresser, where, by the way, a house spirit like lives on top of the dresser, and
cute little
has
house
already
spirit.
Introduced herself to her.
Her name is Liz.
Yeah, Liz. She finds the instructions. She's supposed to write down her mistake. She's supposed to eat the mushroom.
Yep.
She's supposed to go to sleep and then wake anew.
Wake anew.
And everything will be fixed. So, thankfully, right, Hazel's arms aren't burned anymore. However, Katie's freaking out of like, why doesn't anyone else remember that this happened? And then it dawns on her, like, I changed reality. Can she leave it alone? Nope,
because she sees an ex-boyfriend come in named Max, who used to work for her. And apparently a few years ago, they broke up. They went their separate ways. She still has feelings for him. He might still have feelings for her. So what does she do? She finds more mushrooms. And she's like, maybe I can fix everything. Including, breaking up with Max. The price of the new restaurant that she wants to name Katie after her. Katie's. And in that new restaurant, she finds they're tearing up the restaurant that she wants to buy, and they find this old pot. And they're like, there's a bunch of junk. You want this? And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll take it. And
that would too.
That's where
cool
one of the
pot thing.
It is. It's like a witch's cauldron.
Cauldron. Yeah, that's a tiny one.
And that's where the spoilers, but that's where the mistake is made. And we go back to her and repeating these things. Like, she has limited mushrooms. She didn't find like an unlimited batch. She only has 10 or something to start with. They're written by the chapter breaks.
She's keeping track, right? Each mistake that she's writing down is the next chapter, what changes. And it starts the realities are starting to compound upon themselves, or just things are starting to get really weird, out of whack.
Yeah.
And Liz is telling her in incomplete sentences, not clear communication, but clear enough to say, stop, you're messing this up, you should only do it once.
I think it's really important, like, how she thinks she's fixing things. She's like, I want to be married to Max. And then when she realizes that he is kind of running her life more. Like, she's
trying to convince herself, like, I'm happy now. He's my GD husband.
Yeah.
Like,
I should be happy. And then, like, he wants to... The name of the restaurant is important to her, to call it her own, and he's going to be the co-owner. He's walking around doing the whole deal instead of her. So she writes down that mistake, and that she should take charge, and that it's an understanding that she should be the only owner of this restaurant. So it's small little things like that that lead into a bigger mess.
Katie as a character, I really like her. She is hard-headed, she's strong, she's prideful. Of course, this is where the whole mess comes from, because she's like, no, this is not how my life's gonna go. I'm gonna be in charge, and here's a way to be in charge. I feel like I sympathized with her.
I think it's very important to see it from the perspective of an outsider, because you get frustrated with her mistakes, right? You're like, why would you do that? But then you got to put yourself in her shoes and be like, wait, how would I handle that situation? If I wanted my life to go a perfect way and I had the ability to have these mushrooms that would restart my day, would I have handled that the same way?
I got a secret. I've used 2 mushrooms already.
Awesome.
Anyway.
I've used plenty of mushrooms in high school. And my day never started over. I just forgot about him.
But you also really get the sense of anxiety. Brian Lee O'Malley did a great job of the suspense as she's spiraling. And she keeps getting more and more desperate and desperately trying to fix this. To the point where there's one reality where a few people are skeletons.
They have skulls, and everybody's like, oh yeah, they're skeletons.
This guy that she's cheating with,
the head cook.
in every reality, she's trying to stop it. It's like, yeah, what are you? One of those type of people? I didn't think you were, to like, as in terms of racist.
Towards skeletons.
It's never explained. It doesn't have to be, because these realities are getting messed up. I thought that was a really nice detail.
And then she sees, like, visions of this alternate dark world, and she keeps having dreams about them.
Because she took the cauldron into seconds, that house spirit fighting with Liz, screwing everything up. So Katie has to put things to rest, to put things right.
Yeah. And I thought that was really cool. I didn't see that coming. I completely forgot about the cauldron.
Oh, yeah. I did too. Besides the suspense and the story and the very human, factor, you can empathize with her. I love learning what it's like behind the scenes at a restaurant. There's so much stuff I didn't know, and that was a great bonus to even at one point you see an overhead map. I know you like that.
Love
of the restaurant, and see what everybody's doing, and just literally behind the scenes in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like watching Kitchen Nightmares, but cuter.
Finally, I love Hazel. She's really sweet. She's quirky because she, at night, sets up the restaurant for the house spirit.
So she believes in the spirit. She's the one that teaches Katie all about these things.
But they become close to each other and stay friends throughout every single reality. And Hazel believes her that these changes are being made. And so that's a really great lesson, right, for Katie in terms of what it means to have a meaningful relationship. To put work into it. Yeah. Instead of wishing things away.
Or putting work into work. Because that's what she's lived her life with. Like, she hasn't had the time to get to know any of these people. And she gets to know Hazel because she goes to Hazel about everything. I messed up again. The mushrooms. And Hazel is just there to listen. I thought that was a really sweet moment.
But she finds out things about Hazel, like that she's an artist, and the types of things she likes to buy at thrift stores, her cute room.
Oh, yeah. Now, we're going to look at the artwork, and we'll come back and give our final thoughts about the story and the dialogue and everything.
Here is the nice slipcover with mushrooms in her eyes. I actually didn't notice that.
I didn't notice until you just said that.
Well, because we read it without the slipcover, right?
Here's what the spine looks like and the back. And the book retails for $27. Astonishing Melanie, would you please remove the dust jacket, or what did you call it?
slipcover?
The slipcover.
Slipcover.
It's a slipcover, sure.
Okay.
A mini dust jacket, if you will.
So, we've got her being trippy out in space. There's her ex-boyfriend Max, and in some realities her husband. He is the only character that's not chibi-sized in the book. We see at the end the tree of everything connected. Hazel, some other characters in here.
One of the things I need to mention is that Brian Lee O'Malley is not alone doing this. He has help from Jason Fisher, and then the wonderful and legendary, at least in my eyes, Nathan Fairbairn is doing the colors. And, let's show this page. Nathan Fairbairn is the writer of Lake of Fire and has done colors for many years. And I love his work. But this is the kind of artwork that to expect in here. So here she is coming down from her apartment on the second story. And here's what the breakdown of the restaurant looks like. I love things like this. It reminds me of video games, which is very much like Scott Pilgrim.
Definitely anime vibe, manga vibe with, Katie's facial expressions being over the top. And in fact, I think she's the only one who does emote intensely.
I agree. She is the only one.
Oh, let me show you Liz. Cute.
Liz is cute. I love his panel breakdowns. I love the way that he uses splash pages sometimes. I love that there's mini panels. Sometimes they break out of the panels depending on what the setting is. So it's, I don't, and this is the part where I think, like, was Scott Pilgrim like this? I can't remember. So again,
gosh, Omar, why didn't you go
look
at it before we made this video?
Oh, here's where she finds the extra mushrooms.
Yep.
And her confrontation with Liz and Hazel.
The way she treats Liz is very just matter of fact. Like, of course, at the very beginning, she is like, oh my gosh, what are you? And then she's just like, you're not going to tell me what to do.
Right, I would be freaking out. I gotta get my, a Catholic priest to come and, exorcise my house. But this is the kind of artwork to expect in here. So if this isn't for you, then you may want to avoid this book. But, there's a lot of people that enjoy this type of art.
When she revises her mistakes, there's a kind of a red glow. Oh, what's it called? Like a
tone of...
red tone that's covering what the reality has been revised to.
I never noticed that. That's a good point.
Yay!
Good look at you, noticing things with your eyes. Good job.
Look how cute Hazel is. I want to be Hazel's friend.
I want to be Katie's friend. She's my kind of psycho. So each revision is every time she's eaten a mushroom and woken up to a new. And there's some action sequences. There's some freaky imagery in here, despite the fact that it's got a cartoon look to it.
Here's the other house spirit from the restaurant that she wanted to open up, Katie's. So, final thoughts. We obviously... Oh, did I cut you off? Mm-hmm. We obviously started the video with saying that we highly recommend it.
I like to keep people in suspense. You literally jumped the gun and was like, I love this book. Don't watch the video. Please don't forget to hit like.
Okay, well, what's your score?
Oh, this is this was hard because I read this last year and I wanted it to add it to my top 10 books of 2020 that I read in 2020, even though it came out in 2014. But looking at overall my list, and then I had to bump this, and then the Superman book by Tom Taylor, or Superman Smashes the Klan, because there were other books that I had read prior. So, this was close. This to me, was a 9.5 out of 10. I loved it. It was a page turner. I really connected with a lot of the characters, not just her. I've been in situations like that myself. I've worked in kitchens. I don't like mushrooms. To set this record straight.
That's really cool. I give it a 9.
Really? So, I liked it more than you did. Awesome.
In fact, we were arguing over, who's... go read it. But read it in a day, but I put it down, and then Omar's like, I gotta read it. I was like, well, I was about to read it. What are you doing?
I have so much to read. I have an entire library that you can pick out of, and you're like, I want to read the same book you're reading.
So, one thing I'd like to know in the comments below is if you've read Scott Pilgrim. Again, tell us, should we give it another chance? Well, I never did give it a chance. Is this something really different, like a different genre from what Scott Pilgrim is? I only know a little bit of it, but to me, just on the surface, it seems like a different genre, different type of story.
The tone is a little bit different from what I remember Scott Pilgrim was like, but I love this book. I highly recommend it. It is, it's still available. It's an all-in-one, and 9.5 and a 9. Mm-hmm. So thank you so much for watching.
Thanks for suggesting.
Yes. Oh, thank you all so much. I love everybody's suggestions when it comes to these books, graphic novels.
Please check us out on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe if you haven't already. Put out content every day. This man is really hardworking.
I am hardworking.
And consider supporting us on Patreon. Thank you to those who already do.
Thank you all so much. Stay healthy, stay safe, and much love. If you didn't like the video, don't hit dislike. Just leave it alone.
Wait. Should I stick with my original slogan?
Are we having a conversation in the...